My boyfriend excluded me from the Europe trip we planned to go with his best friend. What he doesn't know is I'm going anyway. So yeah, guys, I've had a boyfriend for a few years now. Honestly, we never really have problems. We never fight. But when we do, it's always about his best friend. Turns out they met in college, and she is sincerely a parasite, a literal parasite. She's everywhere, in every plan we make. She's never invited, but she always shows up. Like, she crashes every single plan we make. She's even shown up to dates that were just meant for the two of us. I swear I was this close to reaching my breaking point, but I didn't say anything because I didn't want to be that girlfriend, you know? The one who's jealous, who can't handle her boyfriend. Having female friends? But let's be real, girls. That's outdated. Our boyfriends do not need female friends. We've seen enough story times to confirm that. Still, I didn't want to be the insecure, jealous one in the relationship, so I held back. I swallowed it all. I was right on the edge. Until one day, miraculously, she gets a boyfriend. No, seriously. It was the best day of my life. I can't even explain how happy I was. It felt surreal. Like, the homewrecker finally had a man. We're gonna call her Tatiana, okay, girls? Or Tati, just to make it easier. Only thing is, I met her boyfriend. And girls, he looks exactly like mine. Like, eerily similar. If I told you they were brothers, you'd believe me. I swear. But anyway, Tati was still Tati, of course, but now she started showing up less. And when she did, it was usually with her new boyfriend. So she chilled out. She stopped being so flirty with my boyfriend, stopped touching him so much, and quit acting like the cute one in the room. Now that she had her own man, she knew her place. Girls. She finally behaved. What I felt? Relief. Pure relief. Everything was going great. Until my brilliant boyfriend decides it'd be awesome to plan a couple's trip to Europe. At first, I honestly thought he meant a romantic getaway. Just the two of us. And I was like, aw, how sweet, how romantic, I love that. But nope. He was obviously talking about a double date trip, the four of us, traveling across Europe, together. Can you imagine that disaster? And I was like, wow, babe, what a great plan. Going to Europe with you, your twin, and a woman who clearly hates me and is still low-key in love with you. Great plan. So I told him, I'll pass this time. Like, absolutely not. But of course, he started begging, nonstop. Please, please, please. He was so excited about the whole idea, going on and on about how amazing it would be. And I'm just sitting there thinking, you know what? For this man, fine, I'll do it. I gave in, like the weak little clown I am. The trip started getting closer, so I began asking everyone questions like, hey, what do you want to do? Where do you want to stay? What kind of hotel? What places do you want to visit? And their answer? Every time. Whatever you decide. We trust you. You plan everything. We'll go with the flow. And I'm just like, seriously? I've never been to Europe. They trusted me because they didn't want to lift a finger. They just wanted me to do all the work. But fine. If I'm planning this entire trip and no one's going to help or give an opinion, then I'm making this my dream trip. I'll choose all the places I want to go. So I started planning everything. I spent a ton of time making reservations, looking up hotels, flights, shows, restaurants. You know those places where you're like, I have to go here? Some of them were hard to book, but I made it happen. I even booked excursions, tours, everything. I ended up creating a dream European itinerary. Once I finished everything, I sent them the whole plan. And surprisingly, they loved it. Thought. It was amazing. They were super impressed, told me how great it was, how much I crushed it. I was expecting some pushback or arguments, but nope, nothing. And I thought, wow, this is going to be awesome. But I should have known better. I should have never let myself get excited about this trip. I don't even know when or why I started getting excited, because a week before the trip, my boyfriend comes over and says, Anna, I need to talk to you. And guys, I really thought he was going to break up with me. Like, for real. Why? Because he sounded so serious. His tone was different. He goes, we need to talk. And I said, okay, let's sit, talk. So, turns out he tells me that Tatiana broke up with her boyfriend. Out of nowhere, Tatiana and her boyfriend split up, and obviously she's devastated, crying her eyes out and needs someone to comfort her. That's how it starts. And then, he tells me she doesn't feel comfortable going on the trip with the three of us anymore. Like, she doesn't want to be in the middle of us two. You know, like what the Spanish call a third wheel? Honestly, guys, I felt a little bad for being so happy on the inside. Like, I was there going, oh no, that's so sad. Breakups are awful. Poor Tati, poor Tatiana. But on the inside, I was throwing a damn party. So I said, well, don't worry. She'll probably get a partial refund for the ticket or something. I mean, she won't get everything back, but she won't lose it all. They'll return something. And he looks at me and says, no, I don't think you're understanding me. He goes, I think she really needs me. She's in a dark place, she needs support right now, and I think it would really help her to go on the trip anyway. But instead of the three of us going, it would just be the two of us. And you stay. I laughed, loudly, because the situation was just ridiculous. I looked at him and said, you're not going on a trip to Europe, a trip that I planned, with another girl. You're not. Sorry, but you've lost your damn mind. And of course he goes, but we're just friends. And I say, oh really, and does she know that you're just friends? Because let me tell you, I wouldn't go on a romantic trip across Europe with a guy who's not my boyfriend. So, does Tatiana know that? Is that crystal clear in her head? And then he says, come on, don't you realize she doesn't have any girlfriends here? And I'm like, and why do you think that is, huh? Maybe think about why no other woman wants to be her friend. Just think for 2 seconds. We had a huge fight. I won't even get into the details. We argued and argued until finally he says, look, I can't keep fighting with you like this. She really needs me. I have to go. And he left. Just like that. And in that exact moment, I realized this relationship is over. Completely done. But you know what's not over? My trip to Europe. That's definitely not over. My now ex even offered to pay for the cancellation fees on my flight. Like, I'll cover it if you cancel your ticket. And I just said, no thanks, sweetheart. That won't be necessary. Obviously, I wasn't going to cancel anything. I just changed my flight time to leave a little after theirs. Luckily, my best friend is way more loyal than this guy, clearly. So I called her and said, girl, I need you to take next week off. You're coming to Europe with me. Then I called every single place I had booked and told them, all these reservations are under my name. Please don't let anyone use them unless they show my ID. Ask for my ID when they check in. Do not give my room, my seat, my booking to anyone else. So when they try to check into the hotel, they won't be able to. When they try to go to the restaurants, they won't get in. When they try to go to a show, not happening. But you know, who will get in? Me. Me and my best friend on the most amazing trip we've ever taken so far. At least, so far. What I didn't know yet was just how deep the betrayal would go. 2 days before our flight, everything was ready. Luggage packed, documents printed, itinerary finalized. My friend and I were laughing, excited, going over every little detail. And even though there was still a little sting of bitterness buried deep, I had made up my mind. I wasn't going to let it ruin this for me. This trip was mine. I deserved every bit of it. I had earned it more than anyone. But that night, lying in bed, struggling to fall asleep, I made one terrible mistake. I opened Instagram, just to scroll for a bit, to kill time. And there it was, a photo, on the plane, her, sitting next to him, smiling like she'd won some kind of grand prize. He was beside her, neutral expression, staring ahead. The caption? I love you. Thank you for everything. Even when the world turns its back on me, you never do. Our dream is finally beginning. I froze. My heart slammed in my chest, hands turned cold. I read it 4 times, then stared at the picture. Again. It was him, my boyfriend, on the plane, beside her, her hand on top of his. For a split second, I told myself maybe it was an old picture. Maybe she was just manipulating something. But no. The flight time, the seats, the background, it all matched. It was my flight, my seats, the trip I planned. And there he was, sitting there like none of it mattered. I locked my phone, got up, drank water, sat back down. My best friend looked at me and asked what happened. I showed her the photo. She stared at it for a few seconds and just said, we're still going, and we're going to make this trip unforgettable. But not for them. For us. The next day, we flew out. Our flight left a few hours after theirs. But now, everything felt different. Now there was rage, disgust, contempt. Every minute in the air, I thought about his stupid face smiling next to hers, like I didn't exist, like I hadn't. Spent weeks building the perfect itinerary, breaking my back to make it special. Like I was disposable. We landed in Europe, and the very first thing I did at the airport was switch into cold, calculated Anna mode. I called every hotel, every restaurant, every tour guide to personally confirm that no reservation could Be used without me and my ID present. They'd already been told before, but I made sure to repeat it. The next morning, my phone rang. His name lit up the screen. I took a deep breath, put him on speaker. My best friend sat beside me sipping coffee. Hey, Anna. He sounded hesitant, almost embarrassed. Listen, we're at the hotel and there's an issue with the check-in. I faked concern. Really? Yeah. They said the reservation's blocked. They won't let us check in without you confirming it. Since it's under your name? Makes sense. I booked it. Right, but could you call them? Just let them know it's okay? We really need the room. I took a pause. Sure, I'll take care of it. For real? Thank you so much. It's just a quick call. No problem. Hung up. My friend raised an eyebrow. You gonna call? I'm gonna fix it. But I'm doing it my way. We hopped in a cab, drove straight to the hotel. I walked in, holding my ID, calm and collected. Walked up to the front desk. Hi, I'm Anna, the guest under reservation 204. I'm here in person to approve access, but I want to do it while they're standing there. The receptionist looked confused, then nodded. Of course, ma'am. Just let us know when. I turned around, and there they were, sitting in the lobby, Tatiana with her arms crossed, visibly annoyed. He couldn't even look at me. When she spotted me, her face twisted, like she swallowed something bitter. I walked over to them, still calm. You guys were waiting, right? Well, you can go up now. I've officially unlocked the reservation. He tried to give me a weak smile. Thanks, Anna. You didn't have to come all the way here. You could have just... I know, but I wanted to come. I like doing things face to face, don't you? Tatiana didn't say a word. She just stared at me like she wanted to explode. They both got up and walked to the desk. My best friend leaned in and whispered, "Did you see her face?" I smiled without looking back. We walked out. Slow, peaceful, dignified. Europe is way too beautiful to waste on petty people. And the war was just getting started. He had no idea who he was dealing with. As we walked out of the hotel lobby, my best friend turned to me and said, "Do you really think they're gonna have peace in that room? Because if you tell me, let's make their lives hell, I'm ready." And in that moment, I didn't hesitate. I didn't feel bad. I didn't feel guilty. Everything they tried to do to me, the lies, the betrayal, the humiliation, I was about to return with interest, late fees, and a spark of chaos. We walked right back to the front desk with the same calm smile I'd had before. "Oh, one more thing," I said. "The reservation is for 4 people. We're heading up now." The receptionist looked mildly uncomfortable, but nodded. I showed him the booking confirmation, clearly stating 4 guests. They hadn't even bothered to read it. They just assumed they could steal my trip, my room, and walk away clean. Big mistake. We took the elevator up, rolling our bags behind us. When the door opened to the room, Tatiana's face was priceless. She was sitting on the edge of the bed, taking off her shoes, looking like she owned the place. When she saw us walk in, she blinked, startled. "What is this?" she asked, frowning. I kept my voice cool and sweet. "We're staying here. The reservation's under my name. It's for 4 people. I'm not sharing a bed, so make yourselves comfortable." My best friend tossed her bag on the armchair, gave a polite little smile, and walked straight over to the other bed. Tatiana looked at him like she expected him to say something, to fix it, but he just stared at the floor, like a pathetic little boy who got caught cheating on a math test. We didn't do anything the first night, just unpacked, showered, and quietly settled in. Let them think this would be tolerable. Let them believe we were being mature about it. But on the second night, we got to work. My best friend, who has a 6th sense for people's secrets, found an extra suitcase Tatiana had tucked away in the closet, the one with all the expensive clothes. Designer dresses, silk tops, high-end brands. She clearly brought her best stuff to strut around Europe like she was on the cover of Vogue. So we waited until they left. Then we opened the suitcase. We didn't destroy everything. No. That would have been too obvious. Instead, we did targeted damage. We sliced a little hole under the armpit of a silk blouse. We ripped the back seam of a tight cocktail dress. We yanked the zipper right off her favorite jeans. Just enough damage that she wouldn't notice until she was already wearing it. Then we folded everything back up, nice and neat, like nothing ever happened. But we weren't done yet. My friend managed to charm a hotel staffer into giving us a small styrofoam box. We went to a local pet shop and bought 2 little white mice, told them they were for a university project. We dropped some snack crumbs into her handbag, opened a small space inside, and gently tucked the mice in. They snuggled up quietly, waiting. The next morning, Tatiana was all smiles. Today was the day she was going to wear her Italian label blue dress. She spent over an hour getting ready in the bathroom. We stayed quiet, pretending not to watch. She strutted out like a diva, turned to check herself in the mirror, did a full spin, and, "What the hell is this?" She tugged at the back of the dress, twisting around. The seam had split, exposing her underwear. She yanked, pulled, tried to fix it. My best friend coughed loudly to keep from laughing. I just tilted my head and said, "Maybe it came like that? Or someone returned it damaged. You know how it is." Tatiana shot me a death glare. But what could she say? That we'd gone through her stuff? In a room that wasn't even hers? And then came the grand finale. Later that day, she was digging through her bag, frustrated, tossing things around, complaining that she couldn't find her lipstick or mirror. Then suddenly, a scream. A real one. Full horror movie shriek. "There's a rat! There's a rat in my bag!" She leapt onto the bed like it was on fire, clutching her knees to her chest, hysterical. Her purse hit the floor, and 2 little mice scurried out. One straight under their bed, the other wandered out toward the door. She was crying, yelling, shaking. He tried to grab them with a towel, slipping around like a fool. Me? I sat on the bed and casually filmed with my phone. "Aw, they're actually kinda cute, don't you think?" My best friend added, feigning concern. "Wait, what if they came in from the airport? Or worse, snuck into your bag?" Tatiana locked herself in the bathroom for almost an hour. When she came out, she looked like she'd seen a ghost. No eyeliner, lips trembling, hair tied back. She didn't say a word. That night, they barely slept. We slept like angels, and that was only the beginning, because the real revenge, the one they'd remember for years, was still coming. Every second we spent in that room would make her wish she had stayed home. And him? He was just there to watch, because the only thing he knew how to do was look down and say nothing. And me? I was just getting started. We were laughing like heartbreak had never existed, like betrayal had never touched us, like we hadn't. Just been humiliated, manipulated, lied to. Paris had wiped it all away, because while some people run from pain, others put on lipstick and heels and walk through it like it's a runway. And baby, we owned that runway. The next morning, we left the hotel early, dressed like goddesses, sunglasses on, hair perfect, confidence at 100. The city was ours, and we were going to live it the way we deserved. We started with lunch, by the Seine. Expensive wine, perfect food, sunlight on our faces. We toasted to ourselves. After that, we wandered through Montmartre, took ridiculous tourist photos, bought tacky souvenirs just because we could. That night, we dressed up and hit a club in Le Marais, all lights, music, and international energy. And the Frenchmen? Unreal. Tall, charming, polite, oozing that irresistible accent. We met 2 of them. Gorgeous. One whispered something in my ear that I didn't even understand, but it made my spine tingle. We danced, we drank, we laughed until our cheeks hurt. We walked. Home at 3 in the morning, tipsy on crepes and champagne, high on freedom. And them? No clue. No sightings, no updates. We knew they were miserable. They couldn't go to any of the places I'd planned. They had no reservations, no activities, no backup plan, just each other. Which, let's be honest, was punishment enough. But of course he wasn't going to get off that easy. Everything, and I mean everything, had been paid by me. Flights, hotels, tours, dinners. He was supposed to pay me back after. That after never came. And she? Tatiana didn't have a cent. She was living off of him, who was living off of me, and then the cherry on top. It was our second to last day. I went to grab some euros from my wallet. I wanted to buy a gift for my dad, and I noticed something off. I counted again. 200 euros were missing. I froze. I searched everywhere. Backpack, luggage, jacket pockets. Nothing. My friend looked at me and said, "You sure you didn't spend it?" And I was. I knew I hadn't. And then it clicked, Tatiana. No money, new purse, new lipstick, the sneaky outings, the timing. She stole from me. I didn't scream. I didn't confront. I didn't cry. I just smiled. And that night, we made a plan. The next morning, they took turns showering. First her, then him. While the water was running, we made our move. We already knew where they kept their passports, in his suitcase, stuffed under some boxers. We pulled them out, slipped them into my friend's tote, and walked out of the room like nothing happened. We turned the corner and started looking. It didn't take long. A side street with a rusty iron grate. A perfect little storm drain. I lifted it slightly, peeked inside, and then, plop. One passport, plop. The second, gone. My friend laughed and said, "Think they'll ever find them?" "Maybe," I said. "I heard some rats steal things and drag them into hotel sewer pipes. Who knows what those little guys collect down there?" We went back to the hotel, grabbed our luggage, called a ride to the airport. Calm, cool, glowing. I changed my SIM card in the car. The one he had? Deactivated. I blocked him from everything. Blocked her too. Blocked the entire damn chapter. Later, my best friend showed me the messages he sent her in panic. "We can't find our passports. We can't leave the country. Tatiana is freaking out. The hotel kicked us out." And then, the last one, sent at 3:07 a.m., we're sleeping on the street. After that, silence. I got home, took a hot shower, lit a candle, opened a bottle of wine, and played soft music. And I felt peace. No guilt, no shame. Just the satisfaction of knowing that the trip they tried to steal became their punishment. That karma sometimes wears heels, carries lip gloss, and smiles while tossing your passport into a sewer in Paris. Be careful who you rob. Some rats don't live in sewers. Sometimes they're sleeping next to you, calling you babe.